to my channel. It is your girl Mpo. If you are new here, hey sis, what is good? If you're a subscriber, thank you so much for constantly watching my content. So this is a quick get ready chit chat with me. I'm about to shoot another video, of which looking at the time right now, I am a little concerned because it's like past 2 in the afternoon and the sun is gonna set really soon. But yeah, this is just a quick get ready with me as I'm about to shoot the next video, like I just said. But also I just want to, reflect a little bit on 2022 and try and plan for 2023. But in terms of plans and everything, that will be up on my next video that I'm about to shoot after this. But yeah, this is just to, reflect a little bit about last year and how I'm feeling actually about this year. So I'm not gonna lie, in 2022 I traveled a lot. I traveled way more than all the other years, I would say, looking back at it right now. I went to Cape Town, I went to Durban. In fact, Durban, I went to Durban twice last year and different sides of Durban. So I was sort of like but it wasn't South Beach, it was South Beach. The first time I don't really remember where in Durban we were, but we weren't really in like the south side of Durban. But yeah, it still wasn't like the second time when we went to Zimbabwe, but yeah. So I did travel quite a bit. I went to Cape Town for the first time. I went to Hartis. I went to actually a lot of places last year. I did a lot of traveling. But if I am being honest and frank with you, last year was probably the worst year of my life. I don't say that quite often because it's not like I measure my life based on the things that have happened and have not happened that year. But to be quite honest, last year I lost so much. I lost so much. I damn near lost myself last year. Emotionally I was not at my best, and I think that's why even my content was so on and off. Although I was enjoying all these places that I'm going to, but emotionally I was not doing well. Okay, so one thing that you guys really need to know about me is I am a very independent person. I've always been quite independent from a very young age, and I think that's one of the most positive attributes that I could say I have as a person. So I like to be in control, right? And I felt like last year I had no control because, wow, life was really against me. So many things happened. For example, the first thing actually that I feel like led to the spiral was when I had to quit my job. So early last year I was working for a recruitment company in Bryanston. It was such a great experience because I felt like I grew so much as a person in such a short space of time. But realistically, it just wasn't working, Living in the South, having to go work, living in the South, working in the North, then having to go to school somewhere in between, because UJ in this case is like where it's not in the North, it's not in the East, it's not in the West, so it's sort of like somewhere in the middle. And then having to come back home and still be my best self was quite a lot, And also having to manage school after all of that. It's like coming back from work after a long day, having to commute back to the South, having to still be my husband's wife, having to be a friend, a partner, a sister. I just couldn't. Having to still be a student, I just couldn't tackle everything, But the most part being that it was just not working out because I was living so far. I was leaving my house at 5:30 in the morning just to make it to work at 8, And sometimes I would get stuck. There aren't any taxis, especially because I was traveling through What Smith Avenue. I forgot what they call it. But through Dunkeld, Dunkeld Crescent. Yes, that's the road that I was using. And if you know that there's always a lot of traffic there. And when it comes to taxis, there just weren't enough taxis for the people that were commuting to Randburg, in my honest opinion. So I just wasn't coping. I was getting to work late. though I was leaving my house at 5:30, and 5:30, because I live in the suburbs, those were the first taxis that were making it to the side. So I literally caught the first taxi to the south. I mean, you can imagine I'm getting to town at like, let's say 6:15. In winter, you can imagine like 6:15, it's dark. It's so not only am I putting myself at risk, but the combos are definitely not communicating because I'm living so far. And then after work, I have to rush to UJ just to make it to class on time. And I'm just thinking to myself, you know what? Something has to give. Something has to give. So being me, I decided that, you know what? Let me quit my job so I can focus fully on school. Now, this wasn't an easy decision to make, as seeing that I just explained that I'm a very independent person. So that meant that I had to be fully dependent on my husband, of which from the time that we've been dating, there was never really a point in time where I was fully dependent on him, that's just not really my personality. But yeah, I had to do what I had to do, and I did. I quit my job and I had to just focus on school. Right. But the other thing that I did not consider maybe at the time was the fact that I only had classes 2 or 3 times a week. Then for the rest of the week, I had ample time to just do whatever I wanted. And that's when I thought, okay, I am going to then focus on my content and be a sort of like a full-time content creator during this time. The funny thing about time is when you have too much of it on your hands, it can be a really bad thing, because somehow I just fell into a deep depression. I don't think I was depressed because of my life was sucking at the time, not really, but I was depressed because I don't really have friends around the south. 2, I don't have complete control over anything. I don't have control over my financial situation. I have to ask for things, and personally, I'm not good at asking for help. I don't like having to ask people for money or for any kind of assistance, really. So I had to do a lot of that last year. My gosh, it wasn't giving, and I think I fell into a depression because I was so hard on myself, and I was measuring myself according to what my friends were achieving at the time, and I'm like, fuck, I'm a 26-year-old. I'm not working. I'm at home. Yes, I'm studying full time, but I don't have any children. So it's like, what do I do with all of this time that I have on my hands? I know somebody could have easily said, just start a business and whatever. Where I live, it's quite, I don't want to say it's remote, but it's the suburbs, so it's not like I can just up and go and start selling sweets like I could if like, do you get? So I just fell into a deep depression, and I feel like I put my life on a shelf, and I just said, you know what, life get like born. I don't know when, but right now I need a break. So I took a break from life. I know, when you think about it, you would think that's it comes from a place of privilege. Somehow I agree, because not everyone has the privilege to just say, you know what, I'm bowing out gracefully and I'm just taking a break from life. I do agree that to a certain extent it did come from a place of privilege, and knowing that my husband would have my back either or, but I'm also not going to lie and say it was the best time of my life, because it was not. Financially, I think after COVID, everyone just started having a hard time, especially if you were like a public employee. Everything was so expensive, but they weren't like any, in terms of remuneration. People weren't getting any bonuses, people were not getting any salary advances or anything like that. Like, people were stuck, especially in the public sector. People were feeling stuck, and it's like everything is now expensive, but my salary is still the same, So for me, it was the same way. And you can imagine, from now being a household where 2 people were working, now everything is on one person, you know. So I felt like my husband had a very heavy burden to carry, and I did not want to be one of the things that were burdening him. So I sat in my little corner, girl, and I know, did you mind, like, girl, you know? I feel like my husband did try to reach out to me quite a bit and try to make things okay and just reassure me and everything, but because naturally I like having control over situations, I felt like I had little control. So I didn't really want to have a lot of say in a lot of things, you know. I just felt like I'll go along with anything right now because I didn't get it. My things are just not aligning the way that I would want them to. So I'm not even going to comment or anything. Everything is fine. If he wants to do this, then okay, let's just go away, go along with it, you know. So I felt like then I put everything that my husband wanted to do. If he said no, let's do it, but I never disagreed or anything. I just felt like, okay, let's do it, you know, because I really like I'm shelving. It's not like I've got anything popping or anything that's happening in my life, you know. So I did everything that he wanted, and you know, I pushed along and I rode along with his dreams. And not that I'm not saying this in a bad way, by the way. I hope like people, you don't misinterpret this. Don't misinterpret it. But I'm just saying I put my life on the shelf and I just went along with everything that my husband wanted, because it just felt like at least he was a dreamer. He, you know, he wanted to still go on with life. But now since I was just like, I don't know what's happening with my life, it's fine. I'll do whatever you want me to do. I'm here, you know. So for the most part of 2022, that's what I did. I was just the ride along chick. I was down for whatever, didn't argue, didn't, you know. But because my husband doesn't know me as that kind of a person, I think we had a very hard time dealing with who I was, because I was just lazy. I literally signed out of life. Any opportunity to sleep I would take, because I just felt like it felt so much better to be sleeping than it did to be awake. And honestly, that's just how I felt. I felt like I feel so much better when I am sleeping as opposed to how I feel now when I am awake, because my reality is just not giving. So I slept for the most part of 2022, and then towards the end of the year I lost my aunt. So that also, I don't want to lie, it was a hard hit for me and my family, especially someone who, you know, I talked to her the day before she passed. Not even the day before she passed, the day before the accident. I talked to her. We were like talking, and you know, she talked about how she would be coming home for Christmas and whatnot, and you know, everything was just normal. I don't think anyone was suspecting that anything wrong would happen or anything like that. Only for the next morning for us to receive like the worst news ever, you know. And yeah, so she was in hospital for I think 8 days or something like that. Let me see, she was in hospital from what? I think Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, almost 7 days or so. I don't quite remember. Like, I don't even want to actually relive the whole memory, but you guys get where this is going. So when she did come home on Christmas Day, she didn't come home on the way we're used to her coming home with, you know, gifts and all of those things. She came home in a coffin. So on Christmas Day, when everybody else was celebrating Christmas, my family and I were welcoming my aunt in her home, but she wasn't alive, you know. So you can imagine on Christmas Day, like it was such a traumatic time. I don't even want to lie, I feel like from now on I see Christmas differently because of how I spent my Christmas last year. I spent my Christmas in tears last year, and we had to bury her on the 26th. So imagine having a funeral a day after Christmas. I don't want to lie, it's quite traumatic. So that is what happened. And even now it hurts, you know. I think the funny thing about grief is on some days I'm okay and I'm able to live with it, and on some days I'm just like, bro, so she's never gonna call me again, like she's gone, like gone mugele, you know, like she's never coming back. Then it starts to hit really hard, and some days I can't sleep at night because I stay up thinking about it. But you know, there's not really much you can do. But on the days that I do feel like crying, I don't want to lie, I do cry. I cry and I let it out. And on the days where I don't feel like talking or engaging much, I'll just shut down and I will be in my little grief bubble. And I think I'm very fortunate to have my husband because he lets me, he allows me, you know. He doesn't take the opportunity to make it about himself or anything like that. He really just allows me to feel how I feel and lets me be, because I'm the kind of person, when I'm going through something, I don't really want to be cuddled and all of that. I just want you to give me my little space. Like I said, we all grieve differently. Some people maybe want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I just want to feel what I'm feeling by myself. It might seem unhealthy to the next person, but you know, it's what works for me, and what works for me doesn't necessarily have to work for the next person. So 2022, I don't want to lie, it took a lot from me. It took quite a bit, but I told myself, Hore, this year I cannot afford to bow out gracefully. You know, I'm going to give life my all, because my aunt was such a hard worker. She was someone who worked so hard, and she couldn't live to enjoy the fruits of her labor. You know, she did not. She built a house that she never got to stay in. You know, she like, everything was about work, and I feel like she never really got to enjoy a lot of things because she was working so much and she was working so hard for her children, you know. So I feel like I want to honor her in just being a bit of a hard worker, and not even a bit of a hard worker, a harder worker, and not letting life get to me, you know, and not feeling like every 2 minutes when I'm inconvenienced I need to bow out gracefully, you know. But also I'm very grateful for my husband, because had it not been for my husband, 2022, I don't know how I probably wouldn't even have taken that break from life, because I probably would not have been able to afford such a thing, you know. So I'm very grateful that he wasn't like you burning out way how, he was mad, and he allowed it to happen. But this year I'm coming back bigger and stronger, and I'm working on so many things, you know. I'm working on my confidence, because if there's one thing I noticed, especially last year, was that I don't really believe in myself as much as I should, or as much as other people do, you know. Other people will tell me, oh, you're doing well, oh, I'm so proud of you, and I'll still feel like it's not enough. I don't know why I have that tendency of just feeling like you should be doing more, you're not doing enough, and not really giving myself credit for the things that I have achieved or the things that I have done, you know. So this year I really want to celebrate myself a bit more, especially my wins. I don't think I celebrate myself enough, but I'm always so hard and so critical of what I have not achieved, instead of also just taking time to say, oh well, this year you were able to do 1 2 3 4 5, you did well, you know, and just give myself a little pat on the shoulder. And even if it means just having a little celebratory moment to just celebrate me, I don't think I do that enough, you know. So this year I'm just turning that around. I want to celebrate myself a bit more often. I want to allow myself to feel like you did that, you did well, instead of always being so overly critical of myself and feeling like I'm behind and feeling like I should be doing more. Maybe just celebrate the fact that I'm not sitting on my ass and not doing anything about it, you know. So I feel like that's just the message that I also want to put out on my channel this year, is it's positivity. Just, it's so easy to fall into a rut, guys, and to feel like everything is on a standstill. You're not doing well. You're not where you're supposed to be. You could be further. You could be this. You could be that. It's so easy to be overly critical of yourself. And instead of just, saying, yeah, maybe I'm not where I want to be, but I'm working towards it. Every day is a step in the right direction. Every day is a step closer to where it is that I'd like to be. Instead of just focusing so much on what it is that you have not achieved, maybe also give yourself some credit for what you have achieved, And I think that's what I'm planning to do more of this year, is just to give myself more credit, give myself more grace, extend more grace to myself, and to say, yes, you're trying really hard, or no, you're not trying hard enough. Sometimes it's about being truthful. And even if you are going to be critical of yourself, be truthful. When you know what, you are not trying hard enough. That's why you are where you are. Or you're trying really hard enough. Give yourself grace. Extend grace to yourself. Things will align eventually. But just live in the moment. I feel like most of us live so far into the future that we forget to just enjoy the present and the moment. And that's really all that we are sure of, this present moment. We don't know what tomorrow holds. Like I told you, I talked to someone today, and tomorrow they were in ICU fighting for her life. Before you knew it, she was brain dead. Before we knew it, her organs shut down. It was, so I feel like life can change in a matter of seconds, and I don't even need someone to tell me that, because I witnessed it myself. I literally witnessed it myself, and instead of waiting for moments to celebrate things, instead of waiting for Christmas, I'm just going to celebrate myself and life as much as I can, and that's really just my biggest takeaway from last year, is I'm not really willing to be the victim again. Yeah, I let life get the better of me last year and I bowed out, but this year I'm definitely not bowing out of anything. I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to put my all into everything that I do, so that's just a little bit of what I wanted to share with you guys. And also just to, for those who are starting the year off on a not so strong or not so good note, don't give up. Don't give up. It's not over until the fat lady stops singing. You guys must know that terminology. It's not over until the fat lady stops singing. So extend grace to yourself. It's not over until it's really, really over. And as long as it's not over, let's keep fighting the good fight. Let's keep fighting the good fight and extend grace to yourself. We are all going through so much. So much. Some people, we are going through so much. But still, you need to recognize that the fact that you are alive on its own is a privilege. And the best you can do is just be thankful for that privilege and wake up every day and show God or the stars and whatever it is that you believe in, that you know what, you are still ready to fight. You're still ready to fight. So my hope for this year is really that I will put my best foot forward in everything that I do, be it my YouTube channel, be it anything that I put myself up to doing, is that I see it through, and I don't want to get discouraged as much as I did last year, because last year, yeah, it was a very horrible year. But I don't think I'll ever have or allow myself to do what I did to myself again, ever again. It was a once-off show. It will never happen again. This year, I'm fighting for everything. I'm fighting for my career. I'm fighting for my life. I'm fighting for everything. And all the injustices that I felt were done to me, everything that I felt like was against me last year, I'm coming for everything this year. I'm not even playing with anyone. Waho, this is my year. I don't care who says what. I don't care what or how the universe is trying to respond. But I'm putting it out there that this honey is my year. And I'm about to do crazy things. I'm gonna whoop it up. Who's that housewife that likes to say we whooping it up? Was it Jackie? No, not Jackie. From Orange County. I forgot her name, but I think it's Jackie. Is it Jackie? Yeah, but so she likes to say we're gonna whoop it up. So cheers to 2023, guys, and to more content and to just being real. Being real. Even when I'm not doing well, because that's the other thing. I feel like this is now my platform to communicate how I feel. And even when I don't feel like I'm okay, I really want to sit down with you guys and say, hey guys, I didn't, you know. I feel like we share too much of the good things that people think this is such a fake platform and we don't have real life issues. Whereas, ragoa. Sometimes it's nice to know that, hey, I'm not the only one who's going through it. It's comforting to know that, you know, we all go through things and we all just try our best to make it out of those things alive. And if there's anything of value that I have learned and that I can teach the next person, that to me is all that it's about. Is me being able to be a vessel to say, you know what, this too happened to me and I'm okay. I came out of it, so you too can come out of it. Instead of every day we come here and then we act like everything is fine and we act like life is all hunky-dory, even when it's not. Okay guys, so this brings us to the end of this video. You guys are very dear to me, and whatever I share with you guys, I feel like I do it really because I want to, but I also want people to not feel like they cannot resonate with all the people online, if you get what I'm saying. So I want you to feel like I'm a friend that you can relate to and that I can relate to you and the things that you go through, and that's why you follow me, because I'm myself, you know, organic and straight to the point. I am myself. And so yeah, I just want to say thank you guys for supporting my channel, and I promise this year I will be way better than I was last year. So with that being said, if you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, and thank you so much for the continued support. And yeah, I hope to see you guys on the next video. Bye.